me just hit, got it.
Yep. Are we all good, brother?
Yeah, man.
All right, so I'll get us right into this now. So, and I'll let you introduce yourself here in a second, but I put this together because I've worked with Greg for many years. He's been in media with all the major media. And so he has some insight on the whole idea of clickbait headlines and do we need them and is it compromising our values? And because I hear this complaint a lot now, it's going from less about the quality of the articles. Everybody dings me, oh, it's a great article, but I don't really like the headline, or there's a sub headline. And it's like, all right, man, like, why is this stuff important? Clearly, it's the experts like yourself and the people that you work with. They're doing that stuff for a reason. And if you're a trainer, it's less about the clickbaity thing, and it's like, what game do you have to play, or how do you have to title your work or videos if you want people to see it? We're in the attention economy, and if you want to get attention because you have information that you feel is valuable to the people who need it, which I hope that's what you feel like if you have information you're sharing, then if nobody's seeing it, it doesn't matter. So the idea is, what you're going to help us with is how to get more people to see it. And then where does that play into what we make believe is clickbaity, and how do we weigh our values and not selling our soul in a title and not being dishonest to still doing something that will get attention, because people will give their attention to something. And if you want to influence people, you have to know what is already influencing them. And you can't have this negative feedback loop, my little soapbox here, of not titling your work and not doing things that get them attention, and then competing with the other people who are titling their stuff better and are getting attention, and then getting mad that their work is getting attention and yours is not because you don't like their work. And it's sort of a negative feedback loop, a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I'll kick it over to you there to sort of quickly give us a brief view of, why we should listen to you in this field, and then I'll let you just go from there.
So, sure. Thank you, Nick, for talking to me about this. I am a journalist that has worked in fitness media for more than 15 years. I used to be an editor at Men's Health way back in the day. I was an editor and a video producer at USA Today, and now I'm a freelancer and I work with publications like Men's Health, Livestrong, Shape, all these kind of things. And I have that experience that Nick is talking about both writing the headlines when I was an editor and then having the headlines written for me as a writer. And I think one of the things you hit on right there is people are going to pay attention to something, and that's the attention economy. And I think there's a quote from P.T. Barnum, like Barnum and Bailey, where he said, what happens without promotion? Nothing. And so I think it's important to remember, when you get upset about these kind of things, is the purpose of the headline is to grab your attention. Like, editors are smart people, and they're experts at getting you to have an emotional reaction to content that makes you want to click on it. And sometimes it's because they want to fulfill SEO. They want to get those search engine optimization terms. And so that's why you're going to see some of the headlines that you do to get people in that door so that they can see your work. And I think, if I can do a little soapbox for a second, I think when we talk about clickbait, if a headline misleads people, I think that's bad. Like, if a headline promises something that they're not going to find an answer to inside the article, that's bad. If a headline scares you for no reason, that's bad. But if a headline draws you in because it's catchy or it creates an emotional response, and then the article inside gives you the valuable information, the kind of stuff that we get from trainers like you, I don't think that's bad at all. I think that that's the point, because like you said, there's so much competition for your attention. People are going to pay attention to something. You have to draw them in.
Perfect. So I always like to start, I'm a cut to the chase type person. Like, what can I gain from this versus just listening to two people just sort of rant and rave and talk about their opinions. So let's kind of front load that. So you mentioned something about SEO. So I find that a lot of trainers who ding, articles like myself, and again, I don't necessarily write the headlines, and they try to be gracious, and they go, well, I know you probably didn't write it, Men's Health probably wrote it. And I always go, they did write it, but if it was up to me, I would have wrote the same dang headline, because it's a good headline. All right. Now, that being said, a lot of times we don't realize that it's actually written for SEO purposes. Now, I'll just give you my interpretation of that. And so if I'm now a trainer and I want to get my work out there, that's why we're doing this, right? Not just to hear you and I rant, but what can rest of the people who want to build a name for themselves and get more attention, build a name for themselves, become more sought after, We got to play the social media game. We got to get better attention to our work. Okay. So we're talking about really how to do that and what to consider when you're doing that, and not miss important things. So SEO is a big deal. And the way I interpret that is that what they're trying to say is that, and I want you to give more clarity on this, is that, hey, a lot of people are searching this sort of term or sentence, how to do 10-minute medicine ball workout. I just made that up, but maybe that's a very popular search. And we notice that there's not a lot of competition there, right? So, or maybe this is an area we want to get more work that comes back to our website. So we want something that fits within that. And that's where we're actually getting our headline. It's almost like the headline is pre-written, and then we want you to backfill it with quality content. So
that's absolutely true. And that is the way that some stuff gets assigned. And for the guys and ladies who are watching this, who are trainers, that's a good way to create content that people are going to look at. There are tools. There's one called the Keyword Wizard, which is from a company called SEMrush. And if you go on that and you search strings of terms, just like you're talking about, 10-minute medicine ball, you can see how many people are searching for that string of terms, and it will show you related terms that people might be searching for. So you can then use that to figure out what kind of content your audience is already looking for and fill that with useful content. So if people are looking for, if you have ideas for medicine ball workouts and you go in and you type medicine ball in that tool, it might say that people are looking for medicine ball exercises a lot more than they're looking for medicine ball workouts. Or they might be looking for medicine ball safe. And then you can tell them about safe ways to do things. And that can help guide you to give people good content that they're already looking for and help them answer those questions. The other thing that it can do is if you have an idea already, like you said, I want to do 10-minute medicine ball workouts. I go in there and it'll give you related keywords that people are searching for. And it might spark an idea of something that you can do that's related to what you already wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And what that does when you write that article and that headline, and you're using that phrase, that's going to help you rank higher in search so that when people search for these topics, they find you and they find that quality content.
Right on. And let's continue to shake this out. So here's a good example. So the best 10-minute medicine ball workout, right? So the default sort of thing with trainers, that's my main audience, right? Everybody's just writing to their audience. So of course, trainers, the default is, well, they always complain about the best, right? Well, best for what? Best is contextual. Okay, here's the thing. If you go that's not what people are searching for. People are searching for the best. They're not searching for necessarily this contextual stuff. And the context is 10-minute medicine ball workout, right? So what they mean is like, well, best for fat loss, best for strength gain, yada, yada, yada. That's not how people talk. That's not what people SEO. And the reason why people put the best is what they're trying to do is their attempt at sorting through the confusion and variety, right? Like if I move to your town and I go, Greg, what's the best pizza place around here? I don't go, what is a pizza place? Or give me 10 pizza places. I go, tell me the best pizza place, right? I will go there and I'll try it. And then I'll ask your buddy, what's the best pizza place? And then I'll go try that one. I'm asking them, reduce my options for me. You've been here for a while. And that's what people actually are searching. And if you want your stuff to stay relevant for a longer time on Google and actually get attention, that's why everybody's putting the best in front of it. It's not contextual. You put that into the article, right? So that's a good example. And again, I want you to add to this or clarify for me where you can have a catchy headline, the best 10-minute medicine ball workout. And then as you get into the workout, or into the article, you can say, there's lots of different goals. What we're talking about here is if you're looking to have the most fun and move in every plane of motion, then this would be the best workout. If you're looking for muscle building, then click here. I have the muscle building version of this. So you can create context within it, but that people aren't searching these paragraph long terms with all that context.
Absolutely. And in those cases, if it makes you uncomfortable to say the best 10-minute medicine ball workout using our example, if you're like, well, I feel like I'm going to have to make all these caveats, they're putting in something on the end, like the best 10-minute medicine ball workout for people over 40, for U
Mhm.
for strength. Those are going to make it go to a different search group, which is fine. It might also help you think a little bit more about who your audience is, which is a big part of what all these headlines are about.
Mm.
You know, you were talking to me recently about an article that you wrote for Men's Health, which was ended up with the headline, 5 strength training exercises men over 40 should skip. And the truth is, when you read the subhead right there, it says, if your joints are killing you after every session, you might want to consider swapping these moves out. So it's not every guy over 40. You know, it's just like what you were just talking about. Not every guy over 40 needs to skip these moves. But if your joints are killing you, it does. So we can get that context right there in the subhead. So we've gone from saying, these are 5 strength exercises men over 40 should skip. If they're this subset of men over 40, who's the audience? Who do we really want to reach with this? That's the way you do it.
Very well said. And I'm going to piggyback off of what you just said there to go on a little bit of a rant here, because this is a 2-part thing. One of them is, this is a game we have to play, like it or not, right? Don't hate the player or the game. Play to win is what I say. And clearly these titles are meeting a demand. That's what I tell people. If the demand wasn't there and nobody was clicking on them, then these editors wouldn't be writing these titles, right? So clearly it's meeting a demand. Now, that being said, here's my other rant. I just call it entitlement, because I don't know the other way to describe it. Is that if you read an article like that I wrote, right? And this, I hope this is not going to sound self-gratifying, but I'm just speaking to myself here. Men's Health paid me to write that article based on all my qualifications. I spent time writing that article. They got edited. We went a couple back and forth on, you know, did we edit this properly? Yada, yada, yada. And I get this article. Everybody else gets it for free. And yet, you know, it's still getting complaints. The article's great. They can't even find anything wrong with the dang article because it was just simple, straight to the point. I clarified all these caveats. Hey, train based on your ability, not your age. If you feel fine with these lifts, do these lifts, no problem. Said it clearly in the article, yet people half the people who commented skipped that, didn't even read that part, or got focused on the title because they didn't like that. It's like, you didn't even read the article fully. So if you're not taking advantage of all the free content out there, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we have more free, there's no excuse to be a low information trainer or a low information lifter, as I like to say at this point. Now, I'm not saying you should only limit yourself to what's free online, but there's so much free content out there that there's no excuse for also being a low information comment, right? And only half reading an article and then making big assumptions about it and complaining. Secondly, if you don't like it, we got to realize it's like, just move on. I don't understand. It's like, you got it for free. You have no right to be influential and be, if you don't like it, then provide your own content. Going back to our first point, that's how I look at it. I don't get the idea of getting caught up and getting all upset. Do a better job yourself. Have Men's Health have you write it, or start your own publication that writes non-clickbaity headlines. I just don't get it. And I don't get why we let ourselves get distracted by that. The title and the subheadlines are not the article. The article is the article, and it's free. And you're demonstrating that you didn't even read it. And so I just think it's an excuse to sort of stay low information and get caught. Yeah, but you said this one little thing. Yeah, my batting average was like 95%. You know, it's 2,000 words. You didn't like one sentence? Give me a break. You know what I mean? And you got it for free. But I just feel like that's sort of where we're at right now, where we have so much free information at us that we don't even take advantage of it anymore. We just say, and I get comments from people on my T Nation articles, and they'll go, and I'll go, please go back and read the article. The article didn't say that. And they'll go, oh, I didn't even read the article. I just made an assumption. And they like own it. I'm like, you're proud of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think from your perspective, being able to say like, okay, you didn't even read it, and you're going to complain about it, I'm going to try to ignore that. I think that's the right attitude in that case, because there's always going to be those kind of people, no matter what you're doing, who are going to do that. And then also, I think getting back to your first point with that is, you know, remembering that you're providing something of value to people about the part you're an expert on, and that the person who reads it may also already be an expert on that in some ways, and they may not be the audience that you want for that. You know, sometimes like what we're talking about here is someone going in and complaining, well, this is too general, well, this is too specific. And I mean, I can tell you, look, like I said, everybody's an expert on something. I've been writing and making videos about this stuff for years, but I don't have the expertise that you and your audience do on exercise. But I'm an expert at taking what you do and making it clearer for a lay audience and knowing the audience. Yeah. So if I'm writing something for a bodybuilding magazine and I'm talking about fat loss versus I'm writing something for people over 60 who haven't been exercising for 5 years or for 20 years, I'm going to tell them different things. And if you come into this article for the older folks who are detrained and you want to apply, and I'm telling them from talking to experts, just stuff about walking. If you come in and you say, well, that doesn't work, XYZ studies, you know, blah, 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 you're doing a disservice to the reader. We're not going to serve those two readers the same way. So it's always thinking about that audience is the one thing. And I think one of the main things, as far as thinking about what you're an expert on and exactly what you've been talking about, which is you're giving quality content to people and you want to compete against things that you think are low quality, is remember what you are an expert on, which is you and your audience are experts on these. How do I train? How do I program? How do I get these people this stuff? And then look at the people that you think are crap and who are doing well and say, success leaves clues, just like you would when you're working with another trainer. So it's what are these people doing to draw people in? And then they're giving them something that you consider bad. What can you take from the drawing them in portion and then draw them in and give them something good? Because I mean, that's what we're all out here to do, right? Is to, when we're doing this kind of stuff, like, sure, you want to have more clients. Sure, I want to write more articles that make more money, but really I want to help people just like you do. I want people to read this information, learn something, maybe live a healthier, more active, happier life. So if you see a headline that draws you in that you clicked on, either because it sounded interesting or it gave you an emotional reaction you didn't like, or it just keeps popping up in your feed, screenshot it on your phone. And then like, look at that headline later and go, what words from this, or how can I take this headline and make it something that relates to my content? Just steal it. Like, you know, don't steal the headline, but like steal the tactics that you think the people who are successful but are bad are doing and make it good. That's my advice. Very,
very well said. So actually, you used the keyword emotion there. So, and I'll circle back to some of my little rant here and what I want people to take from that. But that's really, you said this to me on the phone too, and I'll let you expand on this. But from what you told me, the purpose of a good headline is really to get an emotional reaction. It's not supposed to be either an informative, and again, I'm saying my own thing now, and you can clarify. The way I gather from that is that it's not necessarily supposed to be what a lot of people want it to be or act like it should be, at least trainers, is it should be this really quick summary of the article, right? Which is like how you would title like a research paper, right? It's just actually supposed to elicit emotional reaction so that you then click on it to understand the context. For example, I did a T Nation article recently, and this was a sub-headline in the article. It said, pull-ups are overrated, right? So I had people on the forums there go, actually, I generally agree with everything that's in the article, but the statement pull-ups are overrated is blah, 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 and they go on and on. I go, well, first off, it's a sub-headline, and then directly under it, all the context said what it's overrated for, which you said you agreed with, but yet you're bitching about it's not overrated. This is where I think we get too caught up in the weeds, and actually we don't, as trainers, we don't produce content. We just stay in this negative feedback loop where we just get pissed off at everybody else's stuff, where we're complaining about stuff we even agree with because of this one little thing. And I think that comes down to the fact that we lack knowledge of what the purpose of that thing was, which was not to make a statement and leave it at that. It was to get you to keep reading the article, right? To keep you, and also probably get some engagement. So I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head, which is it's not that every headline necessarily is there for emotional response, but a lot of them are. And it's exactly what you're talking about. You see pull-ups are overrated and you want to click on that to be like, what the hell is he talking about? Or I don't agree with this and I want to give this guy a piece of my mind. Or, oh, I doubt that any of this is going to be valid. And then you click it and then you're in, and we've gotten you in the door. We talk about it like the cover of a book or the window of a store. It's like, we just got to get you in the door. And once you're in the door, we can sell you the stuff. And that's why I said earlier, I think when a headline gives you an emotional reaction that is false, like if somebody said something about pull-ups are overrated, they clicked on that, and in there you did not give a context in which pull-ups were overrated, then that's crap.
Right.
But if somebody comes in and you say pull-ups are overrated as a way of increasing pulling strength or measuring pulling strength or whatever, I read the article, but I don't remember all of the details. I actually did read it. When people come in, if they see that and it's like, hey, it is qualified, but we are talking about situations where pull-ups are overrated, I don't think that's bad because of the exact thing we're talking about. It got people through the door. And then you were able to give them that quality information that you wanted to give them. And I think that that's a lesson that we can all learn. And I think just think about the way that people react to anything in their social media feeds. People see those emotional things and they want to react to them. They're not going to click on, like you said, maybe a study title that says like, maximum force velocity of various pull-up variations. Now, look, will trainers click on that? Sure. Will lay people click on that? Not as much.
Yeah. So let's put a nice little bow on this, because my Zoom's telling me we have only 8 minutes left. So and I think we've hit the big ones. So let me give you my sort of takeaways, what motivated me to want to do this with you, because these are things that I feel I learned and changed me. And then I want you just to sort of close it out with to go from there. So what made me look at all this is a very quick story. I told you this one on the phone, but I'll say it to everybody now. Years ago, when I started writing for magazines, I had the opportunity. My girlfriend at the time was actually going to be a model for an Oxygen magazine photo shoot. We were going to get flown up to Canada, Robert Kennedy Publishing, and she was going to be the model, and I wrote the article. How cool is that? She was training for a figure show. She was doing some fitness modeling at the time. Okay, so she's figure girl, powerful, strong, and they give her the little silver dumbbells, and I asked the photographer, and I go, us trainers go nuts about this because it paints a different picture, because that's clearly not the weights that they're really using. So why would you do that? And they just looked at me kind of like, you dummy, right? And they go, because if we use bigger full-size dumbbells and plates, you can't see the model as well. We're trying to show the form. And I just kind of sat back and went, oh, because I was an idiot. And then I realized, I need to shut my mouth and stop assuming that I know better when I don't know what I don't know. So when I stopped making these same assumptions about these headlines and about the magazines and things, and go, well, clearly these people do this for a reason. I don't. Maybe I need to open my mind up a little bit and see why they do it. And then when I learned, it was, oh, it's not supposed to be informative. It's supposed to be invoke an emotion, because if we don't get you to click on it, you don't see it at all. And all this goes to waste. Whatever sponsorships we have or products we're trying to sell in exchange for giving you free info, that goes out the window. But you're going to click on somebody's thing. Oh, so that's not the purpose of it. Okay. So it became actually not me willing to do anything just for attention, which some people try to straw man it into. And it's being strategic, that your headline is its separate strategy, and even your subheadlines, than the article itself. It's supposed to draw attention and encourage people to want to talk about it and get a little emotion involved, because that's really what we're at these days, right? Secondly, is also, as your trainer, don't get so caught up in the weeds about bothering with the headlines and, oh, it should have said this, should have said that. And just when you're trying to stay informative as a trainer, and just focus on the actual context, because the article content is the context. And stop being so entitled about the title and go, well, it was great, but I don't like the title. Well, come on. You know what I mean? So we got a little over 5 minutes. I'll let you wrap it up.
Sure. And I think that what you were just talking about, and that's what that story illustrates for me so well, is remember what you're an expert on and
Mhm,
borrow expertise from for the things you're not an expert on.
mhm,
And like you're an expert, your audience of trainers are experts on what helps real people improve their performance in the gym. Like that is your area of expertise. And if you feel like the information that you're presenting isn't getting that attention, and you think maybe that it is because of the headline things,
mhm.
find the people who are the experts on this and see what they do and how you can apply it to your content. So look at channels and people that you consistently follow, people that you feel like you consistently click on, see what they do and how you can apply it to your area of expertise. You can even do this, like I said earlier, you can do this with people you don't like. If there's somebody that you don't like their content, but you find yourself clicking on it all the time and you're like, this guy or this woman just pisses me off. Look at what their content is doing. Why is it making you click? What can you borrow from that for
Mhm.
your content to get people to click and hopefully direct them to something that's good? To me, that I think that is a key, is to remember what you're an expert on and borrow expertise from other places for the things you're not.
For sure. And I'll add to this, and this is gonna be as honest as I can be. Don't give people power over you. And by talking about it and getting emotional about it, they're winning, because you're not only now doing your own work and focusing on your own stuff, but you're actually giving them more oxygen and then pushing up their algorithms by talking about it and discussing it. That's what they did it for. And I started to play that game as well, where I know, okay, if I write something, yes, I want this to appeal to the audience who needs this information, but I also have a lot of trainers that read my stuff, and I know this sort of headline is going to get them to go like, "What is Nick talking about? The best ab exercises?" It's like, gotcha. Otherwise, you wouldn't have clicked on it. So, in the fact that you're stopping what you're doing and now to take me up on something, I got you, right? And in fact, you're helping my algorithms. So I'll let you finish with this. We got a little over 3 minutes here. Do you have any sort of tips on how to write better headlines for yourself to get more attention, that, well, you still feel proud of it, but you also want to go, nobody's reading any of my work, right? How to get more attention. And this applies to maybe YouTube videos or even class titles. Quick side note, these great titles work for conference titles for NSCA conferences. I've done it before. I've proven it. I've done classes that call the 7 best glute exercises, and I pack rooms at NSCA conferences. So we're not above these cool clickbaity titles, as everybody says.
I think the first one is, like I said, copy the things that you see that work for you. Second is use these tools that are out there to see what people are searching for. Look at SEMrush's wizard, look at Google Analytics, search for things that are related to the things you want to talk about. Look at the top 10 articles on sites that you already read. Sites like T Nation, sites like Men's Health will have an area where it's like the top 10 right now. What are the headlines? What do they have in common? A lot of times, like you said, it's a number. And then test things out. I know with Facebook ads, you can A/B test things, but also even for free, you can just try one week, try one thing, try another. When I was at Men's Health, we always found that saying the worst worked better than the best. And it was just based on analytics. When we would write that in an email title, more people ended up opening it than when we said the best. Now, that can change now. That may change for your audience. So it's something you definitely want to test out. So those are 3 of the things that I would definitely do: is learn from people where it's working, use the tools to find out what people are searching for, copy those top things off of sites, and test things out.
I love it, man. So we'll tie it up here. To me, if you're a provider of information, be smarter about the headlines that you write and the subheadlines. And if you're a receiver of information, which you're both, right? I say sometimes teaching, always learning. Don't get distracted by headlines and subheadlines and get caught up in the weeds of complaining. Number one, you got it for free. It doesn't mean it's low value. But 2, learn from it. Look at what they do. Why is it getting a lot of engagement? And take advantage of that. How can we get a hold of you?
Follow me on Instagram. I'm Like the Magic Word, and you can check out my book if you want to see something with a sensationalist headline. It's the Workout Bucket List, and it's more than 300 workouts from folks just like you, people all over the world things from history. It's a good read, I think.
That's an awesome book, man. Thanks so much for your time and everything you're doing to give a platform like people like myself a platform in media, brother. I really appreciate it.
Always great to talk to you. Thanks, Nick.
All right, end meeting for all. Hopefully, if I leave meeting, I'll call you. I'll call you.